cars, which were found in very unusual places. We're talking about such cars as a Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Bentley and other. 1. 1966 Ferrari 275 GTB 2. This Ferrari was found in a garage in North California, where the car stood for 27 years. The garage was next to an abandoned houses that they decided to demolish. What a surprise to the builders when in the garage they found several expensive rare cars, among which was the exclusive sports car Ferrari 275 GTB 2. Average cost of the car at the time of discovery piled a minimum of $3 million. 2. 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 North California garage. In the same garage was also found a very expensive sport car Shelby Cobra 427 model 1967. By the way, after removing 27-year-old dust from the cars, it turned out that the cars are in perfect external condition. Soon after the discovery, the cars were put up for auction. 3. DeLorean DMC-12 North California Forest. In North California, it feels like a cozy alley. Car owners like to throw away or forgotten rare cars in their garages. Not surprisingly, after a number of finds in the area, many American car enthusiasts went there in order to find new findings. And someone was lucky again. Another rare car was found in the usual woods. We're talking about the DeLorean DMC-12, which has merged with nature, covered with leaves and land. It is not known who was the owner of this vehicle and why he left the car in Dean's Forest. Perhaps speed of 88 km per hour has something to do with it. Those who did not understand what we are talking about, then watch Back to the Future. 4. Ferrari 166 Barchita. Imagine driving through the desert in Tucson, Arizona and meeting an abandoned Ferrari 166 that has stood in one place for a long time. It's probably never going to happen to you, but it did happen to Michael Lunch, who told you how he found a rare sport car in the desert. A total of 25 such cars were produced. How that car ended up in Arizona desert remained a mystery. Ferrari Enzo, an abandoned sport car in Dubai. Ferrari Enzo is a quite rare car. In total, the Italian company has produced 400 such sports cars. By the way, this model has become one of the most popular among Ferrari cars in the history of the company. Could you believe that the owner of this sports car just gave up on it? But it really happened in Dubai. The owner of this car was accused of fraud. The car was placed in a parking lot as security in the case. But after the case was over, the car owner did not take the car. 6. Jaguar XJ220 Qatar Desert. Jaguar are not always known for their speed capabilities. However, the Jaguar XJ220 is one of the exceptions. You will not believe it, but the top speed of this sport car is 350 km per hour according to the passport. Such speed will put an end to the hair of any motorist. Can you imagine this car was born in early 1990s? Yes, this speed even today seems to be outrageous for many cars, not to mention cars of those years. In the end, the XJ220 was once considered the fastest production car in the world. Not only that, it was a very rare car. A total 275 copies were produced. And it was this rare and exclusive sports car that someone left in the desert of Qatar. 7. Bugatti Veyron, Russia. It turned out that the found-abandoned supercars are a very common phenomenon in the world. Here's another example for you. This time the abandoned supercar was a Bugatti Veyron. Its owner abandoned the car on the road after the Aston Martin drove into the back of the sports car. True, the condition of the found car left much to be desired. We think it about have taken a lot of money to rebuild it. 8. Bugatti Veyron. Andy House from Texas bought Bugatti Veyron in October 2009. Just a month later, he and his car were videotaped in a local lake. According to him, he could not cope with the driver because he was distracted by the pelican. The most amazing thing is that the owner of the sports car did not bother to pull the car out of the lake, but just left it there. The fact is that Andy insured it and planned to get an insurance indemnity of $600,000. But in the end, he was accused of covering up to the accident and leaving the scenes of the accident, as well as polluting the lake. So interested of the indemnity, the owner of Bugatti Veyron got 1 year in prison. 9. Aston Martin DB4, Massachusetts Forests. The Aston Martin DB4 is a rear model. Later it was replaced by DB5 model, but still DB4 is considered an absolute classic. Production of this car began in the late 1950s and continued until 1963. Totally during the time 1,185 cars were produced. The cost of the cars is at least $500,000. What would you say if you saw this car abandoned in the woods? You wouldn't believe it, but a similar find was made in Massachusetts woods. According to some sources, that car has stood there for just under 50 years. Unfortunately, time has done its evil deed. The car was found in bad condition. However, the car was fully restored and sold in auction for $500,000. 10. Bentley Continental GT, Chengdu, China. Abandoned parking lot. You won't believe it, but Chengdu in China has a tree-lined and grassed park with 2 Bentley, 2 Land Rover, 3 Mercedes-Benz and a motorcycle. But that's not all the transport left behind the car owners. According to some report, there are built 200 cars dusting in this abandoned parking lot. The best one among them is the Bentley Continental GT. Most of the cars standing in this strange place appear in criminal cases and for some reason cannot return to their previous owners. Some cars have been abandoned due to some mistakes made during the registration process. 11. Bentley Flying Spur, Qingdao, China. Abandoned parking. There is one interesting car in a abandoned Chinese parking lot. It's a Bentley Flying Spur. As a result, one Bentley Continental GT and another Bentley Flying Spur cost at least 3 million yuan. This is just under 30 million rubles. It is even strange and sad that such expensive luxury cars are standing abandoned in an overgrown park in China. The most amazing thing is that every month new cars appeared in this god-forsaken place. Among them are expensive cars. 12. Lamborghini Miura S, New Jersey. This car was found in an abandoned barn in New Jersey. A farmer passing through a cornfield found an abandoned house in the storage room next to it, where he found a Lamborghini Miura S under a huge layer of dust. In the end, the farmer in fact broke the jackpot, as it was a very rare car. 17 cars in total were produced. And as it turned out later, the supercar was in a normal condition. 13. Lotus Esprit, Hong Kong. NS6, Nissan Skyline, Evo, Silvia, Lotus, Porsche. These cars should be cherished, carefully guarded and protected. Unfortunately, in Hong Kong, these cars are not paid attention to. In Hong Kong, a parking space may cost as much as renting an apartment in New York or Moscow. As a result, people from time to time refuse their own cars, throwing them right on the sidelines of the city. And the city authorities take abandoned vehicles to landfills, storing cars on top of each other. It's such dumps. Sometimes there are very rare exclusive cars. For example, recently American journalists saw a Lotus Esprit on one of the dump site. 14. BMW M6 Dubai Airport. This car was found in one of Dubai's parking lot. Unfortunately, the car was in bad condition, but this is not the only car that was found by authorities in the airport parking lot. During another inspectors of the parking lot, authorities found ownless Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bentley and several BMWs. So why the people leave their car in the parking lot? In most cases, for reason for abandoning the cars, it's to lose your job. In the end, people can't afford their own expensive car and threw them in parking lots. It all started with the drop in oil prices a few years ago. The UAE started a protracted financial crisis. Many people lost their jobs. So now people often find expensive cars abandoned in the parking lots in Dubai. One of them was the amazing BMW M6. 15. 100 abandoned cars. Wailing Cave. An abandoned mine. It looks like a movie scene, but it is real. 100 cars from the 1970s were recently discovered in the Valley Case. Yes, the cars were underground in an abandoned mine. It was discovered by researchers who decided to check out Valley Cave. What a surprise they were when they went down into a banked dark mine underground and saw a huge number of cars. 16. 1964 Ford GT40. An abandoned garage. Unavailable, but in fact, underthink junk in one of the abandoned garages was found a sport car Ford GT40, model 1964. It was a very rare car, which was produced from 1964 to 1969. Totally, 105 cars were produced. 17. Golden Ferrari 308, Dallas, Texas, an abandoned garage. Several prestigious abandoned cars were found in the garage, but one of the most valuable coupes was a supercar Ferrari 308. This is a very rare car, and well, it's a golden exclusive body color. Ferrari produced this model from 1975 to 1985. 18. Austin Haley. eBay found a car stolen 42 years ago. The story exactly matched the famous quote, "Never give up." Robert Russell has first-hand knowledge of the phrase. The fact is, Robert has Austin Haley stolen from him, but the car owner did not accept the loss of his car and set a goal to find it. No matter what it costs or how long it takes, in the end, 42 years later, Robert managed to do the impossible. He found his car. Most of Robert's acquaintances thought that he should never find his car because most likely the hijackers disassembled it for parts, but they were wrong. Russell found his car on eBay 42 years after it was stolen, and the police found out the car stolen in Philadelphia, then went to Los Angeles, where it was sold and changed several owners in 42 years. After the discovery of the missing car, in the end, 42 years later, turned to its rightful owner. That's such an amazing story. 19. Ferrari Dyna 246 GTS, found underground in the yard of the house. Back at the late 1970s, Ferrari Dyna was buried underground in the yard of a house in Los Angeles. Workers poured concrete on top of the car and threw it underground. Years after the death of the owners of the car, his children decided to make an outhouse in the yard and stumbled upon a concrete foundation. When they opened it, they saw the roof of the car. What a surprise they were when they realized it was a Ferrari Dyna 246 GTS supercar. When the owner had buried it in the ground was still a mystery, but the almost amazing thing is that after cleaning the car from the ground, it started without any problems. 20. 36 Chevrolet Corvette, car from 1950s to 1980s, and abandoned underground garage in Germany. It is incomprehensible, but this car were abandoned in an underground garage for over 25 years. The discovered Chevrolet Corvette was produced from 1950s to 1980. According to the Daily Mail, the 1953 Corvette is the most valuable car found with an average cost of $500,000. As 300 of these models were produced. 15. Most amazing barn finds. A lot of abandoned cars. Shared finds of barn find from the English barn find are the dream of all car collectors. Agree that finding a brand new car that has stood for many years in some old building is like looking for a treasure trove of jewelry. Today you will see 15 very sad pictures of supercars that have stood for many years in forgotten state. 1. Ferrari Daytona. Daytona is the only Ferrari model with an aluminum body. It was one of the fastest cars in the world, produced only 1,400 copies. Specifically, this copy was found in an abandoned shed in Japan. It had stood there for over 40 years. This model is a collectible value, so it must have been sold for a fortune after restoration. 2. Lamborghini Miura. Popular car photography Jeremy Clive is credited with taking an amazing photo of this incredible shed find. The photo shows the famous Lamborghini Miura P400S, 1967. This model was produced from 1968 to 1971. Totally 338 copies were made. 3. The Lamborghini Countach. Lamborghini produced Countach from 1974 to 1990s. The supercar became a legend and a dream of many car fans. Countach was the very first supercar to try on the Italian wedge design style. Specifically, this Countach was found parked among other exotic cars in Texas garage. 4. Lamborghini Countach. The Texas collection, which was mentioned above, included 3 Lamborghini Countach supercars. This one stood among other exotic retro cars, and its body was painted black. Whoever owned this garage must have been incredibly rich, but the real jackpot was won by whoever bought himself this old warehouse. 5. Jaguar 3.8 E-Type. A rich man bought and gave this Jaguar 3.8 E-Type to his wife in 1970, but practically nobody drove it as its last that day back to 1973-1974, and the mileage does exceed 80,000 kilometers. After the owner died, it was discovered by collectors and restored. 6. 1966 Shelby Cobra 427. Recently, an abandoned garage was found in North California with several exotic cars parked and forgotten in it. The most valuable among them is the Shelby Cobra, which has been idle for over 26 years. This Cobra 427 with its red body and black interior traveled only 30,000 kilometers. 7. Ferrari Testarossa, a whole series of exotic cars which had stood for many years in the open air, was photographed in one of the rich estates in Dubai. Unfortunately, these cars were left here to rot as the hot sun and dust storm typical of Dubai affect the cars very negatively. 8. Lamborghini Diablo. For 11 years of production, Lamborghini has produced only 2,884 Supercars Diablo. Diablo is a collector's dream as it has a high resale value of maintained in good working order. However, it hardly concerns this copy which was left right in the pasture next to God's. 9. Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing. The Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing has been in isolation for almost 50 years in the some underground storage facility. Mercedes-Benz made only 1,400 copies of the 300 SL between 1954 and 1957. Its cult status has been constantly rising since then. This copy has chassis number 43. After the discovery of the coupe was restored by Mercedes-Benz classic specialists and show at Elmelia Island Concours d'Elegance in Florida in 2019. 10. Lamborghini Miura P400. This is the second Miura in this selection. This is not surprising, as the rarity and value of a supercar among car collectors mean that they are ready to follow it anywhere in the world to get it out of an abandoned garage. This copy was found in Germany after its second owner died in 2015. In this condition, the supercar was auctioned off to RM Sotheby's for $1.6 million. 11. Ferrari F50. Ferrari has only built 349 F50 supercars. Most of them settled in private collections, but this copy was unlucky. It was abandoned in a dump in Nigeria, Africa. Given the rarity of the model, most likely one day it will be bought to Europe or the United States, where some lucky collectors will restore it to perfect condition. 12. Lamborghini Aventador. Due to speeding, the Lamborghini Aventador driver lost control and pulled over, tied up in the gravel. The owner probably had a lot of other exotic cars in his garage and decided to just drop the expensive supercar. 13. Nissan GT-R. At the Tokyo Motor Show in 2007, Nissan showed supercar GT-R, which was faster than the Porsche 911 Turbo. Nürburgring Nordschleife pursued with a lap time of 7 and 38 minutes. Unfortunately, economic problems in Greece in 1213 have forced the owner of the GT-R to abandon it in a deplorable state. 14. Lamborghini Countach. The story of finding this Countach is quite curious. He and another supercar was found by a young girl in her grandmother's garage. They stayed there for about 15 years. Both cars were purchased for rental, but in 1989 the financial situation forced the company to close down. Most of the cars were sold except those two supercars. 15. Ferrari Dyna 246. This green Ferrari Dyna 246 of 1974 is one of the most unusual car finds ever. Its owner Rosendo Cruz buried it in the ground almost immediately after buying this Ferrari in 1974 and reported that it was stolen. He received full compensation from his insurance company. But the car was discovered 4 years later by some guys playing in the garden.
Hello my friends, welcome to my channel, Abandoned Places Around the World.
Hi friends, this episode is about abandoned cars in the United Arab Emirates. On the streets of Dubai you can find abandoned cars under the brand names of Lamborghini, Ferrari, Maserati, Porsche and many luxury sports cars. You ask me, why is this happening? Why people abandon expensive luxury cars? I will explain to you now. The United Arab Emirates is one of the richest countries in the Middle East. Despite the recent financial crisis and falling oil prices, the country's economy remains strong. However, like any other modern countries, the UAE has its own problems, which range from the usual poverty, high cost of living, to the strange and unusual. One of the atypical problems in the UAE, especially in Dubai, is the problem of abandoned luxury cars. A familiar sight in the airport parking lot are dusty, long abandoned sports cars. Mercedes, BMW, Ferraris and Porsches costing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars are waiting for their owners. Why would anyone give up a perfectly good car? Why do they abandon cars in Dubai? The answer is directly related to Muslim culture. The UAE, like many Arab countries in the Middle East, abides by Sharia laws. According to Sharia law, it is a criminal offense not to pay your debts. Many people took out large loans for expensive cars when the economy was booming. If payments for a car or mortgages are late, the debtors are sent to jail. There are no other options. All of these cars gathering dusts in parking lots throughout the UAE were abandoned by the owners who decided to flee the country instead of going to jail. When the police find an abandoned car, a warning is issued. If the owner does not show up within 15 days, the car will be seized. Subsequently, an auction is held where cars are sold for a fraction of the original cost. On average, police officers in Dubai find about 3,000 abandoned luxury cars each year.
Hi guys, I want to share with you an interesting video about one luxury executive Mercedes S-Class. As you can see, the car is very affected. What do you think the reason of this? And the answer is very simple: the Arab drift and the presence of a lot of money. When a person absolutely doesn't spare damaged his property, so damaged and absolutely no matter. Tomorrow he went, bought a new one, and just abandoned this one. This car is at least old, but very comfortable. There was a time even presidents drove such cars. And now this garbage is simply abandoned in the middle of the dusty streets of Arab Emirates. Good luck and drive carefully. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell. Bye. Hello dear subscribers. Walking along the street of United Arab Emirates, I found an abandoned luxurious and very expensive Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG. Just look at that beauty. It's just a perfect work of art. This little roadster has acceleration to 100 km per hour in 4 seconds. How do you like that? Thanks for watching and waiting for your comments and likes. Have a good day.
Luxury cars, including Rolls-Royce and Lamborghini, have been rusting under the bridge in China for 10 years. Everyone has heard that a lot of supercars, expensive SUVs, and other luxury cars are abandoned in Dubai. But you probably never knew that in China, you can also find abandoned car parks, one of which is located right under the overpass in Beijing. Here, you can find a real exotic pieces, several Rolls-Royces, Bentley and Range Rover. There is also a golden Lamborghini Gallardo Spyder. Next to it, there is a bright red Maserati coupe in some kind of exclusive tuning kit. One Rolls-Royce Platinum also stands out, which has huge wheels, looks like at least 22 inches. The reason why so many expensive cars ended up abandoned on the street are not revealed. Most likely they belong to a company that is currently experiencing hard times. And another version is that these cars were confiscated by the government, for example, for tax evasion. But anyway, we feel sorry for the cars. We have heard that they have been standing there for at least 10 years, which means that it will be very difficult and expensive to return them to the roads. Don't forget to subscribe and like it. Found a field of abandoned Ferrari supercars with a very sad fate. A few dozen rare classic Ferrari supercars and other expensive cars are rusting outdoors in a field somewhere in United States. This is not an extreme museum at all. Who dares to throw away so many valuable cars? This collection was assembled by a certain lawyer whose name is not mentioned. His first exhibits were Chevrolet Corvette, but his tastes eventually crossed the Atlantic and led him to buy at least 20 exotic European cars. Among them were Lamborghini, Lotus, Rolls-Royce, Porsche and Ferrari. A few years later, his collection already included 13 supercars Ferrari from the Mondial and 400i Grand Tourer to 308, 328 and 348 and the legendary Testarossa. But his life was not free from black clouds. In 2011, he was diagnosed with a serious illness that made him unable to drive them anymore, so the entire collection went to a large covered garage of one acquaintance. However, after the lawyer's condition worsened and he could no longer pay rent for storage of cars, the owner of the garage sent the entire collection of rare cars to the field. According to some information, the lawyer later paid the arrears of the payments and the cars were to be returned to the covered garage. But for some reason, some of them remained stored in field. They stood there for many years, exposed to sunlight and rain. What happened to the person to whom these cars belonged is unknown. All we know is that his family could not become full owners of these cars for a long time, until recently, due to the fact that the transfer of the inheritance was delayed by an unspecified trial. Official documents were subsequently discovered confirming that at least 15 vehicles had been stored in the covered garage, including 13 Ferrari and 2 Rolls-Royce cars, but only 11 of them were found. Both Rolls-Royce had disappeared, as had 2 Ferrari. The rest of the cars were sent to a local Ferrari dealer for sale. It is reported that new owners for most of the cars have been found. That is a sad story. Hi friends, in this episode you will see abandoned Lamborghini cars all over the world. There are such models in this collection as Countach, Miura, Gallarda and other exotic sports cars. Lamborghini Cars is an Italian company that manufactures luxury sports cars under the Lamborghini brand, located in the municipality of Santiago Bolognese near Bologna. The company was founded in 1963 by Ferruccio Lamborghini. At that time, he was already the founder of a large company producing tractors. After the founding of the company, Lamborghini owned it for another 9 years. The current owner of the company is Audi. In the early 1960s, Ferruccio Lamborghini owned several companies and could afford to buy expensive cars. At various times, he owned a Mercedes 300 SL, several Maserati 3500 GTs, and a Jaguar E-Type. He also owned a different Ferrari 250 GT. But in every car he found some flaws. There are several versions about the reasons why Lamborghini founded his own company. All these versions boil down to the conflict between Enzo Ferrari, the owner of the Ferrari company, and Ferruccio Lamborghini. The most popular version, told by Ferruccio Lamborghini's son, is that Lamborghini came to the factory to see Enzo Ferrari to complain about the grip quality of his Ferrari 250 GT. Enzo sent Lamborghini back and told him to stick to tractors because Lamborghini does not understand anything about cars, and especially about sports cars. Lamborghini returned to his factory, disassembled the drivetrain in his Ferrari 250 GT, and found out that many of the parts were manufactured by the same manufacturer as the Lamborghini tractors. In his warehouse, he found a suitable replacement, and after assembly the problem was solved. Ferruccio decided that his car would have a V12 engine. This engine was also chosen for economic reasons. Ferruccio recruited the talented engineer Giotto Bizzarini, the owner of the Bizzarini SPA, who had previously developed the V12 for Ferrari, to his project. The prototype Lamborghini 350 GTV was presented to the public at the Turin Auto Show in October 1963. In March 1964, the first production Lamborghini 350 GT was shown. Sales of the production version were very successful. Born under the zodiac of Taurus, Ferruccio Lamborghini decorated the car with the bull logo. The success of the 350 GT was followed by the equally successful Lamborghini 400 GT, which brought enough funds to develop the company's first true gem, the legendary Lamborghini Miura. This prototype of the car was demonstrated by Ferruccio himself in November 1965 at the Turin Auto Show, and already in March 1966 a working version was presented at the Geneva Motor Show. Miura was a great success in 1967 alone. 111 cars were sold, and the company gained popularity around the world. In 1971, Lamborghini surprised the world again with the prototype of the revolutionary new Lamborghini Countach. Although the car itself began production only 3 years later in 1974, until that time it remained the focus of attention at any auto show. The prototype had the newfangled, at the time, vertically opening doors, rear air intakes, and a powerful 4-liter engine. However, in 1972, the company faced a serious crisis. The contract for supplies of the large batch of tractors to South America was interrupted. Lack of funds forced Ferruccio to sell part of his share in tractor production, which was bought by Fiat. Ultimately, the entire tractor production came under the ownership of the same Dodge Far Group, which still produces Lamborghini tractors today. During the 70s, successful sales of the Lamborghini Countach kept the company afloat. Automotive production soon became self-sufficient and profitable, but nevertheless, Lamborghini sold his shares in the company to Swiss investors George Henry Rossetti and René Leimer. Ferruccio Lamborghini died in 1993 at the age of 76. As a result of the 1970s oil crisis, sports car sales plummeted. The company, among others, faced financial problems